This time I have taken some different subject. It's a management subject. In Surat, we are primarily all businessmen, entrepreneurs. We are running our business, and we all aim to achieve greater heights in our business. So, how can we do that? We can observe some of the successes, we can analyze some of the successes to draw interpretation of how they got success, and that can lead us to some values. If we establish values in our businesses, maybe we can also do that. So considering that, today's topic is how to create great companies. This talk is based on one book named Good to Great by Jim Collins. Jim Collins had done research on US companies. That was during the first 5 years of this 21st century. And obviously at that time he had analyzed companies that performed well in US during the second half of 20th century. That means between 1950 to 2000. And those companies sustained growth for minimum of 15 years. So it was not a momentary success, but it was a consistent long-term success. So how he identified companies that became good to great? He started the screening with 1,435 companies. Then he selected Fortune 500 companies, then came down to 126 companies, then came down to 19 companies, and finally identified 11 companies that met with various requirements of high performance. And then he analyzed those 11 companies in details, the parameters of how they grew during second half of 20th century. He selected these 11 companies as great companies. You can see the name. Of course, all these are US companies. We can draw some parallel from Indian companies also. Abbott, Circuit City, Fannie Mae, Gillette, Kimberly-Clark, Kroger, Nucor, Philip Morris, Whitney Browse, Walgreens, and Wells Fargo. See their performance. Abbott, from 1974 to 1989, they delivered return 4 times the market. Circuit City, 18.5 times the market. Fannie Mae, 8 times. Gillette, 8 times. Gillette is also a continued success story. So, how can we differentiate between those 11 companies and normal stock market? So, if somebody had invested $1 in 1965 in US stock market, we have a Sensex here, so somebody would have invested in Dow Jones, then that dollar would have appreciated to $56 by 2000. But if someone had invested the same $1 in those 11 great companies, then the value would have been $471. How? You have appreciated your $471 times during a time of 35 years. How? This study was done in last century. Will it be relevant to 21st century? I will say yes. I will also explain why. Now, this is the chart that demonstrates how those 11 companies achieved their status great from good. What was the process? There has been a 6-step process, and 7th is also the overall wheel that can run fast. First 2 steps, level 5 leadership. First who, then what. It is related to disciplined people, and this is the basic in building up for exponential growth. Then comes confronting brutal facts and hedgehog concept. I will explain those in details, but after getting the right kind of people on board, it is the disciplined thought that can take us to a breakthrough. Then it's a culture of discipline combined with technology accelerator that can give you further momentum on breakthrough. And then there's a flywheel. Flywheels means chakdor. Means you get faster and faster momentum once you achieve that breakthrough. So I will explain you these 6 steps or 6 parts of process that was followed by those 11 companies. First is level 5 leadership. What is level 5 leadership? In all these 11 companies, they have seen those great managers or leaders who carried out the growth process. Our entrepreneurs here in Surat need to exhibit this type of leadership consistently over a long period to achieve that kind of success. Level 5, before understanding level 5, let us understand levels. Level 1 is a highly competent individual, a person who can do his job very well. Level 2 is a person is competent plus he contributes well to a team. So he is also working well as a team member. Then competent manager means he is himself a competent person plus get the things done as required. Then level 4 is effective leader. But more than a leader, level 5 are entrepreneurs or executives who builds company through personal humility and professional will. What is personal humility and what is professional will? We understand in the next slide. Now, this is a chart of Gillette. And what does this show? Coleman Mockler was the CEO of this company from 1976 to 1996. Now, if somebody would have invested $1 in general market, the value would have been $15. Then there was a takeover bid in 1986. If that bid would have been successful, they would have got 1.5 times that value as a company. So shareholders would have received 50 times more than their valuation, and in that case the value would have grown to $30. So instead of $15, it would have gone to $30. But where did it go? It go from 0 to $96. So at that time, this gentleman, Coleman Mockler, he avoided the takeover bid like the one which was avoided in case of Larsen & Toubro by Reliance Group, and then he took the company to that level of 96. Now, why would he would have avoided getting the right valuation. He also had a good stake, and he could have also reaped the benefit of that premium, because what is in store. At present, the saving system that we use, saving plans that we use, that was at research stage at that time, and you know what kind of prospects or what kind of success he would have get. So even though it was a secret, he thought it is better not to sell this company and keep it with the shareholders. Now we come back to level 5 leadership. On left hand side is a professional will, on right hand side is personal humility. Professional will we see in many people. They can create superb results. They have an unwavering resolve for or commitment for their job, set standard, settle for nothing less. And when it comes to taking blame, they look to mirror and accept their responsibility for poor performance. So this is the kind of professional will they have exhibited. And on right hand side is a personal humility. What kind of people they are? Modest, never boasting, unassuming, acts with quiet and calm determination, sets up successor for even greater company. They don't rely on themselves only for taking the company forward, and when it comes to taking credit, they try to give credit to the team and all the people rather than taking credit themselves. If I have to relate level 5 leadership in Indian context, we can have few good leaders in Surat, and we can have few good such leaders on a national scale also. In Surat, I know owner of Colortex, Janti Kaka. We can see him as a kind of level 5 leader, the way he has created Colortex empire. We can also see Shivanti Bhai Shah. He has also created a great diamond company from nothing, and he is also low profile, unassuming person, but fully committed. On a national scale, the best example is Narayan Murthy. Of course, he is in much limelight in these days, but in those days, he did his job very well, and we see where Infosys has gone from one point to another point. Similarly, Sun Pharma, Dilip Sanghvi. Have you ever heard any interview of Dilip Sanghvi? No. He is a personal person with a personal humility. So this type of level 5 leadership is the first parameter for taking company from good to great. Then comes human aspect. All these companies, what did they do before they charted a path for growth? They got the right people in. Importance of human resource. And also, they got wrong people out of the bus. So first they organized their manpower in such a way, they built their team in such a way that company can do nothing but grow and grow. So selection of people is the most important part. Of course, this is in context of large scale companies. So it is in that way how they build a team. But this is also relevant to small and medium scale companies, because it is the people and it is the team that matters. Businesses are managed by people, so it is important to have right people for growth of the companies. Right people don't need to be tightly managed. They don't need closer supervision. They are self-motivated. You don't need to tell so many things to motivate them. And they have an inner drive to produce best results. So these are the people. So if you have that kind of people in your company, in your team, then you can go. It is not that you need genius people. What you need is a hardcore working people. That is more important than genius people. Other thing that was observed in manpower HR part was there was no co-relationship with compensation. Means if you pay more, then only you get more and better people. No. Higher reward does not mean better people. Reward should be sufficient to keep that person in that organization, means for continuity. And designation also does not matter. So even if you don't give any designation, then also they work. So for building a right kind of team, you need to be a rigorous. How you can be a rigorous? When you have a doubt that whether this person would be suitable or not, don't hire him. Whenever you take interview and if you find that this person is not suitable, you need that person. You need someone to fill that place. But if you find that person is not right, then don't hire him. When you need to change people, act. Sometimes what happens, we become soft. We try to feel that why should I fire this person? But if he is not suitable, he will kill the organization. So if it's a need, change. Then comes put your best people on best opportunities, not your biggest problems. What happens is, in organization, we have number of opportunities. And at the same time, we have number of problems also. So if you try to put best people on problems, their creativity will be lost in problems. Then they would not come out of that vicious cycle. Instead, put them on better opportunities. In our context of concept, if I put my son Saival on administration, risk management, compliance, read all the SEBI circulars, then he will say that I don't want to do business. Instead, I have put him on more important things, develop the business. As far as the administrative part is concerned, I have been taking care of for all the time. I can take care of that further also. But if there are opportunities and if he has been put on a lot of administrative burden, then he would not be in a position to devote to those opportunities. So it's simple, put your best people on best opportunities. People are not your most important assets, but right people are your most important assets. On human resources, we can tell much more, but I would not like to take more time on human resources. So we come to the next point, which is confront the brutal facts, yet never lose faith. What happens in business? There are issues every day. When you consider growth, all these issues come up. Unless you understand those issues, unless you realize these issues and confront it means not fighting, but find ways and means to come out of this, you cannot grow. But at the same time, you should have a confidence. You should have a self-confidence. You should have a confidence in yourself that yes, these are issues, but I am competent to resolve and find a way out. So this is the next important part. Before we set out for journey to the next orbit, we need to take a stock of our present status. We need to have a closer look at what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. We need to confront facts. If we try to ignore the facts, tire of growth can get punctured during the journey, bringing it to a stumbling halt. So if you say that, okay, let it be, it will be taken care of automatically. No. You should understand what are your weaknesses and also know how you can cover those weaknesses. Also, companies once a good, not necessarily always a good. What happens is that there are new challenges coming up every time, and so you also need to have a check on your strength from time to time. Today you are competent, doing very well, but may not do so tomorrow. So it requires honest and diligent efforts to determine the truth of situation. For confronting brutal facts, how to do fact finding, how to find out that these are the brutal facts which can hamper the growth of our company. First, lead with questions, not answers. Don't answer yourself. You have to ask questions to your team, and based on the response that we get from different people, try to find answers. Engage in dialogue and debate, not coercion. You can't say that do this only, do this way only. Yes, you have to give direction, but try to find out what are the truth through dialogues and debate. Then conduct autopsies without blame. In most of the organizations, what happened? This is not right because he has not done it right. We try to blame people. We try to blame situation. Market નથી ચાલતું તો revenue ક્યાંથી લાવું? But instead of that, we should find out why it's not doing well. Because all these companies that have become great, they have worked under the same environment as other companies. And it was not that because environment supported them and that is why they became great. No, it is because of all these factors which I am representing that they have come to this. Then the fourth one is build red flag mechanism. What is red flag mechanism? So if something is going, but if you don't agree, then you raise a flag. That's called a red flag. Means if somebody is objecting to what is happening and if he finds that it's not in right context, then you allow red flags to be raised and understand the issues that are associated with those red flags. To create a creative climate for finding out the brutal facts. Good to great companies faces as much diversities, as much adversities. Difference is that they face situation head on and they emerge stronger from adversities. Then there is one paradox which is named as Stockdale paradox. Stockdale was a French prisoner and he was jailed and tortured like anything. What happened? During all these tortures, he retained his faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of all the difficulties. And at the same time, confront the brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. So this is called Stockdale paradox, means you take up, confront facts with a confidence that whatever may be difficulties will come out of this and ultimately will be successful. Hedgehog concept. Hedgehog is a small creature. On right hand side of this, you can see the small creature. મને લાગે છે ગુજરાતીમાં આપણે એને સાહુડી કહીએ છીએ, એવું કંઈક છે. And on left is fox shear. Fox is a cunning and smart animal. Fox waits in cunning silence at the juncture of trail of hedgehog. Hedgehog, minding his own business, wanders right into the path of fox. When fox attacks, hedgehog roll up into a perfect little ball. એક ગોળો બની જાય ને તેની બધી બાજુ પેલા કાંટા હોય એટલે તમે એનો શિકાર નહીં કરી શકો. So when fox attacks, hedgehog roll up into perfect little ball, spear of sharp spikes pointing out in all directions. So what happens? Despite the great cunningness of fox, hedgehog always wins. So this is true in context of business also. We have to have consideration of being a hedgehog, how to protect. And we need to make it simple, incredible simplicity. What do fox do? He tried to find many ways to take a prey. But the other person has simplicity. If someone attacks, just put a fort outside. Very simple. So in business also, we can find some simplicity like hedgehog. For this, we need to understand 3 key dimensions of hedgehog concept. These are the 3 dimensions. I think if we understand these 3 parts very well, then the whole thing would come at the best. First is what you can be best at. You are doing business, but whatever you are doing, are you competent to do it the best, better than all others? Here comes the core competence. So you do business where you are best at. You do the business of a product or service which you can deliver the best. You are most competent for that job. This is dimension number 1. Dimension number 2. What drives your economic engine? You may be good at something, you may be best at something, but if that does not create a revenue, then what? So what drives your engine means from where you can get money. That is the second part. And third part is what you are deeply passionate about. You are doing something just for the sake of doing. It has been inherited, so I am doing this business, or I have to do something, that's why I am doing. Then it will make you good but not great. The best part comes from intersection of these 3 required for success. You have all the 3 parameters: what you can be best in the world at, what drives your economic engine, and what you are passionate about. So all those 11 companies have combined this hedgehog concept of 3 circles, and they have stuck to this concept, and that is how they have grown. What we can be best at? We have different type of competence. You have to understand what is your competence that is the best one, and one should do. We can see many businesses that have reached extraordinary success in Indian context also. Narayan Murthy thought that he is best at IT. He has done that. Similarly, Wipro. Then pharmaceutical, Dilip Sanghvi. So you can have such examples. Uday Kotak, finance. They are based at that, and they have done their business based on their core business and core competence. So this is very important. Then your driver. Understanding key driver of economic engine, we need to find out what is the profit per X. Now, what can be a profit per X? It's a denominator. It can be a profit per employee. It can be a profit per customer. It can be a profit per region. Different companies can have a different consideration. I know how ICICI Bank approached the banking. It was all nationalized bank and cooperative banks in those times. But they found the kind of people where they could get the maximum revenue per employee. And in those days, revenue per employee in ICICI Bank was perhaps 20-30 times more than employee per revenue in PSU banks. So that was the denominator that took ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank to this greater height. Then comes passion. When we have a passion for something, and if you do that, then that will automatically give you more and more commitment. You do it more wholeheartedly, and obviously if you do it more wholeheartedly, you will get always better results. You don't get tired of that, doing that. કંટાળો નહીં આવવો જોઈએ વસ્તુ કરવામાં. You should find it interesting. So if I have to consider the hedgehog concept, then it has to be a combination of three, like Eicher Motors, Relaxo Footwear, Titan. You see, they have combination of all the three. Indigo, SpiceJet. It is the people who are based at doing that. Then they have, say in case of Indigo, they have earned more per traveler compared to others, and they are highly fanatically passionate about that, and that's how they can get such kind of success even in a current context. Then comes the culture of discipline. I would not like to take much about this because as far as discipline is concerned, you know what it is, but it is also an important part for taking your business to greater heights. There are three broad stages: disciplined people, disciplined thoughts, and disciplined actions. We understand characteristics of this strategy. Then as far as the second half of last century is concerned, it was a time of technology. So most of the business people, they tried to find out technology, particularly using internet, e-commerce, etc., and tried to get that success. What is the role of technology in that success? Technology is an accelerator, but it is not a creator of momentum. Purely with technology, you cannot be successful. Yes, you need to apply technology to come to a greater heights, but not only the technology can win. There's one example that has been given. Walgreens is a retail store that sells medicines in USA. It's a brick and mortar model, and medicines are sold through retail outlets. Then came one company called drugstore.com. It's a purely online model. It's an internet pharmacy. You go to internet and online purchase the medicine. What happened when that company came up with public issue? It was heavily subscribed. They got the best valuation. Walgreens prices went down, and everybody thought that it's a doomsday for Walgreens. But what happened after 5 years? Drugstore, that internet model failed. Whereas Walgreens harnessed the internet technology to accelerate. What did they do? In addition to the retail outlets, they also offered some internet. They also prepared a very good website. They also offered all the things. And when you come for shopping, you can put your requirements in advance. So that is kept ready at the time when you come. Plus you can also buy from the counters. So they used this internet platform to facilitate clients so that clients can come and buy with more ease. Ultimately, Walgreens is succeeded, and there is no existence of drugstore. Indeed, thoughtless reliance on technology is a liability, not asset. When you right, it can be a driver in accelerating a momentum. So all those 11 companies, they have tried to use internet but as an accelerator, not as a core to their technology. So instead of starting running straightway, we usually first crawl, then walk and then run. So momentum is built step by step. Now we have tried and understand 6 factors that made companies great. Those 6 factors are level 5 leadership. First, who then what means the human resource aspect. Confront brutal facts. Hedgehog concept, which is the heart of the entire presentation. Culture of discipline and technology accelerator. But what happens? It's a flywheel phenomenon. Flywheel means chakdor. When we go to Chapati, our kids insist that they would like to sit in the flywheel. So what the flywheel fellow will do? He will put children in different cradle. Then he will start rotating the flywheel. What happens? Initially, he has to apply a great force to complete one cycle. Then he continues with applying the force. The second cycle is faster, third is even faster. Then that flywheel starts its own momentum. And sometimes he has to just put finger to keep it running. Same thing happens in businesses also. It's not that one moment or one particular action that brings you success. It is every input, it is every effort, step by step that you put throughout that brings you to that velocity. And again, same process going on. Level 5 leadership, they work with their leadership attributes, right kind of people, right kind of responsibilities. Then sticking to the hedgehog concept, intersection of the 3 circles, discipline, using technology as accelerator. So that's a flywheel effect. In this book, they have also considered with comparison companies and tried to evaluate how these great companies did better than those comparable companies. So in flywheel, what happens is sometimes you don't start continuing pushing it, then it can also bring the you can say that that momentum is lost in between. The flywheel and doom loop. Key points. Good to great transformation often looks like dramatic revolutionary events. Those observing from outside, they feel like organic cumulative process to the people on inside. The confusion of end outcomes with process skews our perception of what really works over a long haul. Means some last effort that brought success. We believe from outside it's like that, but it is not the last effort, but from first effort to last effort. No matter how dramatic the end result, good to great transformation never happened in one fell swoop. There was no single defining action, no grand program, no one killer innovation, no solitary lucky break, no miracle. It has been done bit by bit. Now comes, you have made your company great. You establish company, good to great concepts, sustain great results. But how can you sustain this success? How can you sustain the greatness? Here it comes. While growing, you preserve core values, core purpose. You are not singularly money-minded, but you stick to In case of Infosys, they say that we have three stakeholders: customers, shareholders, and employees. And we have always taken care of all the three stakeholders. So these are the core values, core purpose, and also they go on changing specific goal and strategies, and that is how they sustain greatness. So this happens good to great, and also classic turnaround. In case of a turnaround, the first two steps are level 5 leadership and first who then what. Means the level 5 leadership thinks of bringing out the company from a difficult situation, emergency actions, and then management change. Then comes analysis through confronting brutal facts and hedgehog concept, and then restructure and return to normalcy. So this flywheel model or these 6 factors work in case of a company stuck up in sickness, in case of bad situation, the same applies. So far I have taken all the points from book, and I found all these 6 points very relevant to all those companies of US, also all these companies in India. It was relevant in 20th century. It is relevant in 21st century also. But what is the difference between 20th century and 21st century? The difference is that in 20th century, there was a demand. So whatever you could do well, you could sell. In 21st century, there is a demand, but supply side is much higher. So what happens? So now here comes a concept of a value chain. What is value chain? Value chain is a process from raw material to ultimate product, and there are number of players in between. Raw material is purchased, brought to manufacturing facility, manufacturing, marketing, after manufacturing, after sale service, all these things. And simultaneously, for all these activities, you need good design, you need research and development, you need manpower, you need finance and accounts. So there is a whole chain. In order to be successful in 21st century, you need to be efficient in the entire chain. If one part is efficient and other part is not efficient, inefficient, then the efficient part will also not be successful. For example, you have a manufacturing capacity. They are doing right kind of manufacturing, right kind of quality in product. But A, you don't supply, doesn't come in time, raw materials are not good quality, or and B, you have produced but you are not competent to reach to the end customer, convince the end customer and offer that. Now you cannot be good at all the aspects of this value chain. So what you should do is stick to what you are best at, and for others you outsource. So in current 21st century, the same thing applies in this way, that hedgehog concept is still valid, but in 21st century value chain, the entire value chain has to be efficient, and those who are part of this value chain need to be efficient and also doing the job that is their core competence, and outsource everything else. Role of entrepreneur is more that of a strategist. He has to set his strategies right in order to get success. At end of a value chain is your core offering and customer at the other end. Everything else is changing. Number of in-house functions are being replaced by several specialist independent entities. Even now research is also done outside. You can buy those research. Process of deconstruction and de-intermediation is going on. 21st century core competence. In a highly globalized competitive era, any kind of inefficiency adversely affects not only business but the entire value chain. So one need to stick to the core competence. Core competence is what you know the best compared to the rest. Again, that hedgehog concept. Every business needs to outsource everything else other than its core competence. Research, bought out. Design, bought out. Manufacturing, job manufacturing, Nike. They do only one thing, design the shoes. They don't manufacture. Coca-Cola, they don't have bottling plants. They get it bottled from so many people. Specialized logistic company would ferry raw material to manufacture and finished goods to market, and experts in service and maintenance will take care of post-sale service. Virtually every company needs to outsource everything else. Company will no longer compete with one another, but entire value chain will. Company that scores over competitors because it is a part of value chain that is more efficient than it is competitors. So at the end, I wish all the businessmen a bright future.